Love Boise State Public Radio podcasts? They are free to enjoy, but not free to produce. If you can give, your support helps keep shows like Idaho Matters and Scandalize available to everyone. Donate now at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Cadet. This is Idaho Matters. One of the first things President Donald Trump did after he was sworn into office Monday was to call the Lava Ridge wind project near Twin Falls, quote, contrary to the public interest, unquote. And then he signed an executive order putting the project on hold indefinitely. Now, according to the Idaho Statesman, the Lava Ridge proposal would put 230 giant wind turbines near the Minidoka National Historic Site, and it could provide 500,000 homes with electricity. On Wednesday, Idaho Governor Brad Little signed his own executive order titled Gone with the Lava Ridge Wind Project Act, which directs state agencies to cooperate with Trump's new review of the project. Nicole Blanchard is the Idaho Statesman Outdoors reporter, and she's been following this story, and she's joining us now to talk more. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Gemma. Thanks for having me.
So, Nicole, give us a quick reminder. What exactly is Lava Ridge, and where is it?
Sure. So it was a proposed wind farm project, about, like you said, 230 of these wind turbines. And it is northeast of Twin Falls. So if you're north of I-84, there are a bunch of small kind of towns in that area. And then again, like you mentioned, if anybody's familiar with the Minidoka Historic Site, it would have been north of that area.
So how big is this project, Nicole?
So in all, the area of impact would have been around 100,000 acres, but that is not where all of the turbines would be. Those would have been a little bit more concentrated.
And these turbines are not small, correct? I mean, they take up some
No,
space.
they're not.
So talk to us about where the power from the project would go then. Do we know? Because as I mentioned in our introduction, it could power, electricity to homes, but where would the power actually go?
Sure, that's a great question. And it's something that, critics of the project have taken issue with. The project was proposed by a company called Magic Valley Energy, and they have said that the energy hadn't been allocated yet. So no construction has been done on this project. None of the turbines have been built. So there hasn't been any energy that has been created through this. They've said that it hasn't been allocated, but that it's possible it could stay in Idaho. It's also possible that a lot of it could go to surrounding states. And critics are really concerned that most, if not all of that energy would end up in California.
Oh, okay. So this has been a bit controversial even before President Trump signing this order. So you told us who started the project. So with that said, who's been in favor of moving this forward, but also who has been opposed to this project?
It's been a really strange landscape of who is in favor of this and who is against it. For instance, Idaho Conservation League, which is a large environmental group based here in Boise, they have been one of the proponents. They came out last year and said, hey, we know that this isn't maybe the most ideal. We understand that there are some concerns about impacts to the land and impacts to wildlife and impacts to the Minidoka Historical Site. But at the same time, we think the net positive of this renewable energy kind of outweighs those negatives. And they applauded the BLM for scaling back the project a bit. And then as far as critics, it's been an interesting group of people. So right now, since the project would be on Bureau of Land Management property, there are grazing leases. So there are some ranchers who have grazing leases who are concerned about the impact on their lease. All of our congressional delegation, so that is Senators Risch and Crapo and Representatives Simpson and Fulcher, have been very outspoken against it. They've said that the federal government hasn't been listening to people here in Idaho about what their needs are. And then the folks with the Minidoka National Historic Site have been very outspoken. That site was used as an internment camp for Japanese Americans during World War II, and part of understanding the history of that place is understanding how isolated it was at the time, and how difficult it would have been for any of those prisoners to leave. And so the Minidoka Historic Site and Friends of Minidoka have said, being able to see wind turbines kind of upends that entire experience if you're out there and trying to understand what happened to people in the 1940s.
Can we go back to our four congressmen for a minute? As you mentioned, they all came out against Lava Ridge, but in particular, Senator Risch has been quite vocal about being against this, correct?
Yes, he has been very outspoken.
And before Monday, Nicole, how far had the project progressed? I mean, has anything been built yet? I mean, did it have a green light to move forward?
It did have a green light. So the Bureau of Land Management issued a record of decision last month in December and said, we've come to a conclusion. This is what the project is going to look like. But nothing's been built yet. There haven't been any service roads created. There haven't been any turbines put up. So it is early stages to pump the brakes on this.
So then on Monday, as I mentioned, President Trump signed a bunch of executive orders, and one was that about Lava Ridge, concerning Lava Ridge. What exactly did that order say, Nicole?
Sure. So only part of the order applied to Lava Ridge, but President Trump did single out Lava Ridge. And part of that is because Senator Risch said that he contributed to writing this executive order. So this order looks at wind energy across the US and sort of the regulations around that and asks for review. And then specific to Lava Ridge, it puts the entire project on hold and gives the Secretary of Interior a directive to review the project and decide whether there's more environmental analysis or other research necessary to move ahead.
So that sounds like to me, Nicole, that the project wasn't killed outright. Is that accurate?
That's correct. There's still a chance that, the Interior Secretary could take a look and say, this seems like a good idea to me, and it could move ahead, or, potentially there's more review and more analysis and they retool the project in some way and it could go forward in a different iteration.
And that's because President Trump is ordering the new Interior Secretary to review this project.
Correct.
Okay. So, but we don't know how long this review might take, do we?
We don't, and that's such a great point because the application for this project, Magic Valley Energy submitted that to the BLM in 2021. So it took more than 3 years for them to even get to the record of decision that was issued last month. So it's hard to say how long another review would take.
Well, and the new Interior Secretary hasn't been confirmed yet.
Correct. So Donald Trump has nominated former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and he has testified before Senate, but he has not yet been confirmed.
So there are kind of these I wouldn't call them stumbling blocks, but definitely like little barriers in the way for a review to even begin on this project.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be settled before the next steps can even start.
So, Nicole, you wrote about another Magic Valley Energy project southwest of Twin Falls. What do we know about that project?
There's really not a lot of information out there. So this is another one that Magic Valley Energy has proposed. It would again be on Bureau of Land Management property, and they are calling this one the Salmon Falls project. It would be smaller, a little bit smaller than the Lava Ridge project, but right now they have just turned in their proposal and they're currently doing some community feedback and just some really early stages planning and listening to the community. So there's really not a lot that we know about the Salmon Falls project right now.
So have we heard from the folks who were supporting the Lava Ridge project and the folks who were not? And can we start with maybe folks who were supporting the project? Have they said anything about this executive order?
We haven't heard much from supporters. The Idaho Conservation League hasn't issued any statement. And then Magic Valley Energy, who is behind this and proposed the project to begin with, I reached out to them and they have not returned a request for comment yet.
And my understanding is, Nicole, you did actually hear from the Friends of Minidoka. What were their thoughts on President Trump's move to block Lava Ridge, whether that's definite or indefinite?
Yeah, so the Friends of Minidoka is a nonprofit that works to preserve the history. They partner with the National Park Service to do some education and other programming at the historic site. And the executive director, Robin Achilles, told me that they were very pleased that the project is on hold. She went on to say that they think that the development should be stopped altogether and that they think the area outside of Minidoka, the viewshed, needs to be protected from any future energy development.
So, Nicole, what happens now? I mean, is it just wait and see? But I would assume that any type of construction has to be halted.
Correct. So there won't be any construction taking place. We really do just have to see who will be Interior Secretary when they decide to prioritize looking into this and then what their next steps are going to be.
All right. Well, really appreciate your reporting on all of this, Nicole, and breaking it down for us to give us a better understanding. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Nicole Blanchard, the outdoors reporter with Idaho Statesman, about President Trump putting a halt to the Lava Ridge Wind Project in eastern Idaho, at least for now. We will, of course, put a link to Nicole's story on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. You've been listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Gemma Gaudet.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.